Hey everybody, welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined as always by Matt Morgan, and today we are discussing Monday Night Raw for November 7th, 2016. Matt, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Pretty decent episode, middle of the road type of episode. Slightly better than middle of the road.
Yeah, I didn't feel like there was the painful, awkward drag-on segments, except for that fan hijack that happened, but I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was.
In the middle of the show. Hold on, something's going off here on my end. Okay, there we go. So anyhow, let's just go match by match and talk about the show. So it started, first and foremost with talking about Survivor Series and the team as it's been set now to go down. Now, of course, tonight's show was from Glasgow, Scotland, and taped earlier today. So what did you make of the angle of the way they sort of set it up? So we got Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins. Any surprises there in that final lineup for you?
No, I think this is they've done this for years, that me included. This is how I made my pay-per-view debut. You hide the big, impressive-looking guy that you hopefully have a future for behind some stalwarts and vets that know what the hell they're doing while they get the rub. So tonight was really good for Braun Strowman. It made him look like a star. It made him look extra special. Even in the match at the end, it made him look very, very different and special. That's how he needs to be showcased. This is a perfect. I'm sure people are like, Braun Strowman. Well, this is a perfect match for him. You know what I mean? It's five guys. They got plenty of the other superstars. Especially compared to SmackDown. That is a weak ass team if I've ever seen one.
Baron Corbin.
That sticks out like a sore thumb, Baron Corbin. I hate to say it. I just don't see what they see in him. But nonetheless, you answer your question. Here's my problem. It's this, Glenn. Raw versus SmackDown, there's no stakes. Yeah. Nobody on either Raw or SmackDown gives a rat's you-know-what about their brand, because guess what? The brand extension just started months ago. So we're supposed to believe in the last 60 days these guys have developed all of this, camaraderie and this let's go SmackDown, no, let's go Raw type of mentality, and they're just going to win for the sake of their show? Hell no. It doesn't fit in any wrestler's context, babyface or heel, why they would care so much for their brand. Not at this point, 2 months into the brand extension.
Well, it seems like they're trying to give it some stakes. So they did announce for next week there's going to be a State of the WWE show on the network. We're going to talk about what's happening. They are going to have Daniel and Shane on Monday Night Raw next week, which was also announced. But no, you're right. I was thinking about it, and what this should be, I know I draw from this well of comparing it to comic books a lot, but this should be like Marvel versus DC, right? The two separate brands coming together, but it's too young.
Exactly. That's the fall right there. Yeah. It's way too early. They should have just separated it. Keep Raw versus Raw guys, SmackDown versus SmackDown guys, and bring it back next year's Survivor Series when there's been some time accrued.
Yeah, or I would say go in the other direction and, maybe branch off. I don't know. I don't think they could branch off the cruiserweights, but maybe involve NXT, maybe involve, something from the indie world. I don't know. Do something to make it a little more unique, because, Raw versus SmackDown with no stakes just kind of feels like, okay, we're all just sort of admitting to ourselves that this is all about Brock versus Goldberg. That's really why we're watching Survivor Series. Everything else is just going to be all right,
They tried to, I give them credit for trying to make it seem important, but they can't expect us to. I don't expect any fan to emotionally invest in a brand. I don't think they ever did, by the way, even when there was a longer brand extension in the years past. And we all see right through it. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, even the baby faces, even Roman Reigns, it should be for money. That I can see motivating them. A future title shot if you're the last survivor on your team. Something to that extent that gives it real, what's the word I'm looking for? Stakes.
Yeah, some sort of gravity to the situation where you're invested in any way, shape, or form.
Bro, and then the worst part is Stephanie, once again, does her one-on-one emasculation and basically just big dogged and big leagued her top five guys in one fell swoop by saying, you guys are going to be fired. Really? So these guys are such scrubs and jabronis to you, Stephanie, and your brand that you can possibly fire them? That's what they mean to you? It's not funny. In no context does that make sense.
Yeah.
There's no heat behind that.
Well, and I think that's the thing. So when you look at the SmackDown lineup, yeah, just the fact that Baron Corbin's in there was just like, oh God, this is. I mean, in fact, the real stakes of all of these matches as they set them up tonight, and we'll go match by match and segment by segment and talk about it. But the stakes that they were setting up is the internal fighting between each team. It's like those storyline stakes are very clearly defined. You know, and we saw that in the Fatal 5-Way at the end of the night tonight, even further heightening that. By the way, it ended with KO technically pinning Chris Jericho. But we saw that in the women's division, there's going to be internal conflict in the tag team. You know, the club even saying we will stab you in the back, or pardon me, Gallows and Anderson saying, you know, we're going to stab you in the back at the first chance we get. I mean, they're really laying heavily on the internal strife and drama. And
you know what? I like that though. There's more believability in that. At least it's annoying, but at least there's more believability in that.
Yeah, but I mean, I wonder how they're going to tell it from the SmackDown side of the story, though. You know, it's like if that's really all we're watching for is just for each team to implode.
I think this is my prediction. I'm not able to watch too much. I don't want to really watch SmackDown. I wish I did because AJ's the champ and I love watching him. But nonetheless, I think my prediction is they'll go the whole Daniel Bryan babyface route. The whole nobody thinks we're anything. We're the underdogs. We're Team Blue. We're supposed to be the B team, but we've got a much better show. We got much better guys. Got much better girls. Let's go out there and show it to them. So I could see them trying to do the camaraderie thing around that angle to a degree with Daniel Bryan rallying the troops. But again, ain't no one buying it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You know, you give me any underdogs, bad news bears angle in a storyline, and that for me always gets me. The ragtag group of misfits that pull together and somehow get a victory.
But here's what you do: you devalue SmackDown by admitting we're the B team.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. Although with Baron Corbin, I really don't know how you.
Such an eyesore.
You know, so it was interesting that was the opening segment, which set the main event for a Fatal 5-Way. Then we went into a cruiserweight match, and so here we had Rich Swann and Sin Cara versus the Brian Kendrick. He is the Brian Kendrick once again.
Yep, he should be.
And debuting Noam Dar.
Yeah.
Which he is Scottish, correct? Got a huge pop in Scotland. And I thought what was cool about the match was that it set it up nicely. Immediately, you know, it seemed sort of first a throwaway, him being in a tag with Kendrick, but then Kendrick eating the pin and immediately turning it into building a feud between the two, with Brian and Noam Dar turning on each other. I really like that end, but I mean, all in all, what did you make of the match in that way to introduce?
What feud are you referring to?
The Noam Dar and Brian Kendrick turning.
I did not see that as a feud. I saw that as to give. They totally, completely bastardized their cruiserweight champion, Brian Kendrick. Not only for him taking the pin, which is okay in a tag match, I suppose, but also the local hometown guy just to get a freaking pop. They had him put him on his ass too. You don't do that. That guy's not going to be back. He might be back one more episode. He's only there because they were there. They didn't have to pay for his flight or anything like that. He's already local. I'm telling you, that was all that was. And
that was just a one-off?
Absolutely, 1,000%. Because there's a million more cruiserweights on their list that I already know that are they haven't gotten to yet. You know what I mean? They've still got to come back to Daivari brother. They've still got to come back to a few guys that are still high up on their likes. I'm not saying they don't like this kid, but I'm saying he was just used to whore to the local crowd. That's all that was. I promise you. And it's scary that they bastardized the cruiserweight champ just to do that.
Well, so according to this, and this is what I'm basing my information on in the way that, you know, the internet wrestling community, I follow along on Reddit there. So, I mean, he was a part of the Cruiserweight Classic, and then it was announced in August that he was signed to Raw and he was going to be part of the upcoming Cruiserweights. What I had read tonight, and this could again just be speculation, but that his debut was held for Scotland.
It absolutely was, but as far as what I'm saying to you, as far as it's gonna be like Daivari's brother was, lesser than if anything. He'll have tonight's match. We're not going to hear anything from him unless it's Brian beating his ass and getting his redemption on him, not in a throwaway match or something backstage skirmish. But it's obvious the feud is Swann versus Brian. That's where they're going with this. Well.
See, I was disappointed because I thought with Noam, I thought we had something a little different. We'd have a little diversion. They weren't going to immediately just go back into Perkins versus Kendrick for another rematch.
They're not. Yeah, they're going to go to Swann.
I'm happy with that as well. Then I'm absolutely happy with that as well.
No question. You have two guys with charisma, two guys with character. Rich Swann. If this was the '80s, like, do you watch his facials, his body language? He would be so over. He still can be over now, but like. He would be so over, like an SD Jones type of role, but with crazy charisma.
It was an interesting crowd tonight, but yeah, I think well, that's unfortunate because I think Noam Dar certainly has the most interesting name in all of the WWE, and
so you're gonna pay to watch a name wrestle? Come on.
I thought he did a decent job as well. I enjoyed.
Dude, he needs to get rid of that gut. That's what he needs to do.
A lot of wrestlers seem to have a problem with that. I mean, just you're a guy that's in really good shape. I mean, do you find that that's like the one that some guys it's genetic? They just can't get over that.
I'm one who naturally doesn't have abs. At age 40, finally just got a six pack. That's years and years and years of working out and dieting and figuring out what works. But I don't have any sympathy for a cruiserweight that's not getting his butt in the gym and trying to be. You don't have to be big and muscular. Be lean and athletic looking at least. And his gut was past his chest. And anytime I see that, you lose my suspension of disbelief that you're a real athlete or somebody I should be scared of. Unless you're a brawler. Kevin Owens can get away with it.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see more of him on 205 Live when that launches in a couple weeks, which should be interesting. I don't get what they're doing with that. So it's going to be a cruiserweight dedicated show. It's going to be on the network, but the cruiserweights are still going to be on Raw. I don't know. Mixed messaging, right? Not the first time the WWE has done something like that. Okay, so as mentioned, Sin Cara and Rich Swann won that match. We had a lot of looks tonight at Goldberg versus Lesnar, so I guess we can kind of get that out of the way and talk about those segments. What did you make of that? I mean, they let Brock talk a lot tonight during those segments.
They were good. They're what they always are, serviceable. Brock is playing toward his strengths. I didn't think much of it, honestly. I'll be honest, I fast forward through half of them.
Really?
Well, just because it's not going to be anything different than I haven't heard already. It's going to, let me guess, I'm admitting the truth right now. I fast forward through, I would say, honestly, 25% of whatever they played for Brock and Goldberg, okay? Because I don't want to see some stupid video game crap. I want to get to the next match and get through the commercial. That said, I'm going to predict that it was Brock talking about his family being there to watch him, what he's going to do to him, how he's going to decimate him, how he's going to embarrass him, something along those lines. Was it close to that?
Yeah, it was that. I mean, he was pretty harsh about it. Don't have your kids watch. They don't want to see what I'm going to do to you. Don't have your wife watch. What I'm going to do you. But I'll say this, though, is that it was really noticeable that they were just letting Brock talk. Heyman didn't say a word for the majority of the time. There were long stretches of Brock just talking. And I thought that was really interesting because, originally that was the reason Heyman was there as the mouthpiece, right? So Brock could just sort of sit there and shut up. But no, and Brock sounded good. I thought he sounded really good doing that. Obviously, it was pre-taped. But, I enjoyed that aspect of it. And I even like that he talked about, when Goldberg got the win on him in 2004, that Brock had other stuff going on at the time. He wasn't really invested, I thought it was decent, look, they with Brock. And, I know we've talked before about, my criticism of how he's booked, but I feel like they try, not that they overbuild these matches, but they spend too much time trying to build these matches and going in depth in building these matches. The reason why you fast forward it, because we hear the same thing again and again. Yeah. I thought this was at least interesting. It was probably up there for me with, the Heath Slater thing, the I don't give a crap about your kids part. Yeah. It was just, it was at least fun, and it was Brock doing something that wasn't him just standing there nodding and looking menacing while Heyman goes on and on and keeps saying a Barack Lesnar, again and again. So points for at least varying it up a little bit. But no, I'm totally with you that, I watch everything live because I'm watching an East Coast feed. So I don't have the ability to fast forward through anything because I can't DVR it. So I sit through the whole thing, man. At best, I half pay attention occasionally just to see if it makes it more interesting. So we came back from all those promos. We set up a match between Sami Zayn and Rusev. That it was a good segment with Sami Zayn and Stephanie to talk about who was going to go against Dolph Ziggler's Intercontinental Title Challenge at Survivor Series. But before that, we had the tag team version of the Survivor Series team, and there we had Sheamus and Cesaro, the Golden Truth. We had.
Shining Stars.
Yeah, the Shining Stars weren't out for that. We had Enzo and Cass, and we had Gallows and Anderson, and then the New Day came out. It probably I can't even think of the last time they did this much local pandering and doing the Braveheart get up and the thing. But strangely, the crowd seemed into it. Who
cares what the crowd was into? This was an annoying segment. I was embarrassed to be a wrestling fan during it in front of myself. I really looked at myself and I said, "Self, are you really watching this shit right now?" Excuse the curse words to our sponsors. Seriously, I really did say that to myself out loud. Am I
Yeah.
really watching this blank?
Well, it was weird that Scotland was into it. I would think they would be sick to death of people doing the Braveheart thing. You know, I don't know.
If they want anything, they're not in Scotland that much. I mean, they're in Scotland generally once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And they always hit them on their England tour loop.
Yeah.
Ireland as well. Scotland's always a stop. Glasgow generally, but nonetheless, they're excited to have their name spit out. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah. So we had the promo off, there with Enzo and Cass, Sheamus and Cesaro, everyone getting into it. Of course, no one wants to rally behind the New Day as a team, but they all agree to finally. And I mean, the segment did go on a little long. I probably liked it more than you did, but I just thought there were some good one-liners in there. And come on, compared to, remember like a month or two ago when the New Day, when Gallows and Anderson had the guys came out dressed as the New Day but old men. Remember that? I'll take this tonight any day of the week over that. They're
different. Yeah, there's different layers to this because of the teams involved, but
different levels of sucking at comedy is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, this was. I honestly, I am bothered to even have to talk and give my opinion on it. That's how worthless this was for me. Okay,
so after that, we did have a match between the New Day versus Gallows and Anderson, complete with Big E spanking one of them at one point in the match, which I thought remember when it was going to be the Bullet Club is coming to WWE. We're going to have these badasses here. It's really
this is when you're supposed to step up, Glenn, and tell them, guys, what the freak are we doing? What's his name? Come on, what's wrong with me? Gallows ain't gonna do it because this is his second run back there. He's probably trying to walk the fine line and keep a damn job and do what he's got to do and do it to the best of his ability. Same like when I did my stuttering character, right? Mm-hmm. And you just do what you're told and try to do it to the best, even though you know it's garbage. But Anderson or somebody's got to step up for them and say, what the freak are we doing here? Like, this is not who we are, or this is not who they are, and stop this nonsense. Okay, this is the one tag team you guys had on your roster. Whether they win or lose, you still can make them look strong and look like badasses. You need badasses on the roster. And they continuously keep messing it up and emasculating them. It's so frustrating.
Well, I think that's the problem. We talked about this before. It's like you can't be the only badass team on the roster because who are you going to compete with? I mean, you're going to get.
But nowadays, that's almost your shtick, Glenn. That's almost I don't want to say it's your character, but because everybody's so much wanting to entertain and be these juggling circus clowns, it's something different. It's a breath of fresh air for somebody who doesn't like that garbage. If they want to be a variety show, then be a variety show. Those guys being the badasses and continuing to be the badasses makes it a variety show because it's different. Everyone, otherwise they're blending into everybody else doing the comedy gimmick, and nobody stands out. Nobody gets over because they're all doing bad comedy. Yeah.
I mean, I think if the Dudleys were still there, or, if they had American Alpha or the Usos or even the Ascension is hokey as hell. But at least with that, I mean, but you know what I mean? Though it's like they could go out and do a competent, straightforward match with the Ascension without having shenanigans be an element of it, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like they're always getting drawn into shenanigans, and probably because Gallows and Anderson have tried their hand at humor. That's probably why they go along with it, is because they have a sense of humor, but that's not their character. Or not who they're trying to make their character. I don't know. We had another tag match after that. So the Golden Truth did lose their spot. They were won by the Shining Stars. I'll just say this. I was impressed when they showed a close-up of the timeshare brochure that they actually made a legit brochure that has info on the front and back that they handed out. And I argued with my wife about why this is funny to me now. Because no one does timeshare humor anymore. It's like if the Golden Truth were upset at the Shining Stars because they were trying to cook a souffle and the Shining Stars made a loud noise and oh my God, their souffle collapsed. It's that antiquated of humor. That's what I like about it.
Folks, you're getting your humor gauge brought to you by Mr. Theater himself.
Theater. Thank you. I'm just saying, it's like I like when something is really hokey, like a hokey throwback. To me, it's just we don't see that a lot. We don't see timeshare humor anymore.
Timeshare humor.
We don't timeshare, dude. You're the same age I am. Remember when we were growing up in the TV and movies? It was always like, oh my God, I bought a timeshare. Timeshares were always a joke.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were just making this up to be funny. This is a real thing?
Yeah, it's the husband come home and go like, honey, I've got a big surprise for you. I just got us shares in a timeshare. It was always a big thing. Or they'd show up at the timeshare and they got the time wrong. So they were there when another family was there. This was the plot to like every 8th sitcom episode in the 1980s.
How in the hell did I miss all this? I watched them all.
Timeshare and souffles and quicksand. That was the 80s in a nutshell. You know, you had all your suspense right there. But I'm just saying, so I like
it was never on Different Strokes. It was never on the, I never seen the Brady Bunch is older. I never saw it on those shows. Okay.
I bet you Different Strokes at least had a souffle episode. I think Three's Company did have a timeshare episode. Three's Company, my favorite sitcom perhaps of all time. I'm pretty sure had a timeshare episode.
Tripper is the best seller of all time.
Yes, I agree.
Best body language, best pantomimer of all time.
We can agree upon that.
She'd be such a good baby face.
Rest in peace, John Ritter.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. Okay, so moving on. The Shining Stars beat the Golden Truth in the least essential match of the evening, perhaps. But then let's talk about this women's segment. This was interesting. So we had them announce the team: Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, Charlotte Flair, as she's now officially billed as, Bayley, and then Charlotte bringing out Dana Brooke. Of course, Sasha comes out because she's going to be on the team, and they had a 3-on-3 match. What did you make of the crowd just completely hijacking it with the man? And then Bayley, couldn't even get them to get back on track.
I don't know, because I love Bayley. I want her to get over. I want her to get her just due, because she's worked so hard and is organically crazy mad over. And the WWE writing team has managed to screw that up. With all of that, tonight, I was happy because even though they hijacked the show, and I'm not a fan of that, not when they're talking over, especially the person they're being a fan of, it usually pisses me off. But it definitely sends a message to the office. I don't give a crap where they are. To get that kind of response for that long, it says something at least. That she's a little bit more important than the way you guys have been booking her. We still love this girl. She's crazy, whatever. But nonetheless, it got me a little frustrated though when you're, like you said, when she's trying to talk and she couldn't, because sometimes you just got to talk over them. I hate to say that because it's not what we're taught to do. We're taught to digest the audience when they're popping on something like that. Which Stephanie McMahon, let me say for the record, all you fans out there tonight, when the show opened tonight, Stephanie McMahon literally stepped on an audience pop when they were cheering. I forget what they were cheering for. Go back and watch it. And she literally made a face at them, not in a heel way, but in a way like, come on, can we get this crap over with already? Oh my God, Vince could, oh God, that's such a no-no. But back to this, you don't want to talk over them doing this, the fans cheering for something. That's what these storylines are all to get to, is to get to those chants and those cheers or those boos, the emotion from the crowd, right? So they're giving you the emotion. You just got to sit back, shut up, and let it go. But then you're on a 3-hour show. That segment was going crazy long. I was wondering what it was going to do to the matches on the night, and it's why I think that main event ended up starting so late. But that easily went 2 or 3 minutes past what it should have. I guarantee it. Charlotte wasted another minute trying to get her heat, try to do her best. Still didn't work. They kept cheering. She should have started wooing is what she should have done. I was yelling at my TV, just friggin' woo. They'll shut up and do that instead.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, happy for Bayley personally, because, it makes her look like a star. And pro can get, Sasha Banks was able to shut him up.
Yeah, and I think that's just what they wanted was even more, because Bayley did the acknowledgement at first offhand. Now that chant only seems to really happen when they're in the UK. Which,
NXT, that's it.
Well, and part of it is also, I don't know, U.S. audiences. Now the song that they're referencing, that song originally came out in the late 50s, that Hey Baby song.
Right. Why did they sing that to her though? Why?
Because it was a big, huge hit in, I guess 10 years ago. So some DJ did a remix version of it. And that's where that ooh, ah in the middle part comes in. That was only in the remix. And it was a huge hit in the UK. And I guess it caught on in in soccer stadium chants for whatever reason, if someone's last name is similar enough. And so instead of Hey Baby, Hey Bayley, they started doing it. She responded to it because it really only happened the first time on the NXT UK tour. And
really? That was the first time?
Well, yeah, it never happened in the US.
Okay. I don't know why I thought it was in NXT. Sorry.
No, it wasn't NXT is what I'm saying.
Not the takeover, but in the States and Florida, I mean. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'm saying it did happen at NXT it did happen before takeover, the first UK tour. That wasn't like a Full Sail chant or anything.
That's what I'm saying. I thought it was.
Same thing in the Enzo Amore one, where they do the Seven Nation Army.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the UK one because they do that for a soccer player in the UK. Same thing. They're just, that's, I guess, the main long and the short of this. If you ever could think Full Sail crowds are bad, European crowds are so just over the top.
I liked working with them, dude. Even when I was first coming up and they do the was it "Who are you?" chant, and I didn't understand my first 2 years what the hell that even was. I didn't know what the hell they were saying. But like, which is basically, "Hey, you're a jobber," you know what I mean? Chant, if you will. Even that, like I liked them. I liked all the react. They're so passionate. They really, really are, especially in Ireland. Ooh, Ireland's hot. Ireland and England.
Yeah, see, I would think that would be great just as a performer. I mean, just to be there to have that sort of energy, especially compared to the US where it's just very so much city by city. Because like you said, they know they only get it once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And it's just a chance to go crazy with it, right?
Yeah, it's cool. I like it. I've always appreciated that.
Yeah, so what'd you think of the 3-on-3 match that they had, aside from Nia Jax's what was with the screeching Nia Jax was doing?
What was with her friggin' pantsuit she was basically wearing again? You know. Some serious, can I say camel toe on this? Yeah. Some serious camel toe. I'm not going to get into measurements. Nonetheless, she looked like a beast though.
Yeah.
With all this stuff going on. And I will give props right now to someone who I usually don't, because you like her, and I told you, man, she's Pastor Alicia Fox.
The bridge, dude. That bridge she did on Charlotte was amazing. Everything
she did tonight was amazing. Her selling. Watch her when I watched it in slow-mo to watch how they she did the Beal Nia Jax with Alicia Fox in the corner, by the hair. Yeah. And she chucked her. I was watching to see where Alicia took off from with the jump, and she didn't really jump that hard. What she did was really grab on tight to Nia Jax's forearms and just allow herself to be tossed. Like that was brave as hell. And just everything else in the match, her selling, her offense, she looked quick as hell when she first got tagged in and ducked Jax's clothesline. She just looked really, really good and very ready. And you know what? She's a former champion, and you forget that because of how they not booked her, I should say, for so many years recently. So you know what? That ended up being a good surprise. I think that's gonna, she's gonna surprise some people.
No, I thought that, she did good in the match. I thought it was a good match overall. I like that Bayley won it, and I thought it ending. I thought it was good for the amount of time. I just wish that that buildup took forever to get going.
And they came from commercial break, and they already had started, which you knew was going to happen because they went over with the promos, the Hey Bayley crap. I love that Bayley went over here. Yeah.
Oh no, I mean they really have to put her into just a prime storyline right now. Like Charlotte and Sasha can take backseat for a couple weeks.
Do you get annoyed by her? Like, I love Bayley. I think I've made that abundantly clear. As a fan, but does she annoy you ever? Like when she got in the ring and like hugged Michael Cole and she makes these faces, her facial she makes, like when she's done doing something uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. It kind of annoys me though, and she needs to stop it. I don't know what it is. She's just so charismatic. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Maybe it's a bigger, I mean, she's literally on a bigger stage now, a bigger venue. I think when you're doing stuff at Full Sail and it's more, I mean, you can do that. She could go down there, hug 3 kids in the crowd, give some high fives, go into the ring and own it, and bam, she goes into a match. But now she's in arenas. Now she's got more space. She's got more room. She maybe feels the need to fill that a little more, even in how she's selling and going a little bigger, maybe.
Could be. Could be. I mean, at least it's something. There's no question. She's got charisma for days.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm really happy with everything except just how they've booked her on the main roster. I think that she's doing the best she can. Look, she's not the best talker on the mic, not day after day, night after night, but I think when she's comfortable and she has good material, she knocks it out of the park. And when they give her, tonight you could tell she was rattled a little bit during that promo because that's, I mean, like you said, they teach you like just sort of digest it, but you're thinking, hey, we're on TV. We got to keep it moving along. Yes. That's not a comfortable situation to be in. And normally she has very good command of the crowd. And I can't imagine something scarier. I mean, bombing is one thing, but God, how scary must it be to not have a control of a crowd that is uncontrollably loving you?
Like, she had a really good line in there, Glenn. Do you remember what it was when she tried to get them to stop? What was it? When she's like, "I'm really excited that I'll be your girl, and I'm really excited, but I really want to tell you what I'm really excited about." I popped huge for that, and they still didn't bite. I was like, that was a good attempt, though.
Oh no, totally. And that was the thing. I was like, please don't let her try again with the like, hey guys, but I really want to talk about, because anytime you hear that, it's just that. Yeah, it's shoehorning it, right? It's where like you don't have a segue and you're just trying, yeah, I don't know.
It's a wink. It's a total kayfabe wink to the audience. Like, guys,
Yeah.
I got a storyline to finish out here. Please shut up and let me do my job.
Yeah, let me get to the next thing.
Yeah.
But I was happy with that match overall. I mean, the segment, it was just that was one of those like, oh my god, this totally happened sort of things.
I'm sorry, Glenn, because we're gonna forget to say this, and I need to say it now. Dana Brooke, what the freak is she doing? Did you see it again tonight? She doesn't.
What she watched tonight.
I feel like such a heel here because I don't like talking bad about her. She's someone I'm friends with.
Yeah.
Like legit friends with. But Dana, come on. She's picking girls up, which you learn in Wrestling 101. You pick them up, and sometimes you can spin around in a circle to get the guy ready to know that they're about to be thrown through the ropes, right? But you let the babyface lead you generally, like where they want to go out. Usually, I've always done it that way. Anyways, she goes around like in 2 circles as she's taking her and trying to spin her and throw her through the ropes, and like dumps her, just like chucks her into like the rope, the bottom rope at that. And then when Nia Jax comes over, whoever blasts, come on, I just said her name.
Alicia.
No, the little the girl we're talking about. No, the heel.
Oh, sorry, Nia.
Dana,
sorry.
She takes, I believe, Dana or something like that and throws her out. Maybe it was Alicia. I don't know who.
Yeah,
she throws Dana out, and Dana steps right on Bayley's face.
Yeah.
Being thrown through the ropes. She's just unsafe as hell, and I don't know what the hell's going on because she's a stud athlete. I don't get it.
Now, I mean, in her defense, is it harder to choreograph a match like that where you've got all? I mean, then they had a lot of these tonight, right?
When you're thrown through the ropes, Glenn, there is nothing more elementary, dude. Nothing. You practice it over millions of times, and like in wrestling school, you're like, "Come on, let's go into the next thing already. This shit's boring. I've done this a million times. I can do it."
What I'm saying is, how hard is the choreography when you're doing one of these matches, or like the Fatal 5-Way that closed the show, where you have to do a lot of coordinated, A does something to B, C does something to D, and you have stuff crossing over and intersecting.
Very, but that's why you got to be super tight with your fundamentals. There is no excuse for mess up on fundamentals. Where she would mess up with what you're talking about would be where the false finishes start stacking on one another. Maybe she forgets where they're at. Sometimes you blank and you forget where you're at in the match. You got to ask your guy out there, like, where the hell are we? I've done that. It's happened. And you ask the ref if you can't get to the guy in time. If there's a double down or something like that, use the ref to go relay a message like, "Hey, I'm lost. Where the hell are we?" And then you just shut up and listen to your opponent. It leads you through the rest of the match. But that's not the excuse. She couldn't be thrown through the damn ropes proper. Like, she didn't even know how to go through the ropes right, nor throw somebody else through them. I can't begin to explain to you how basic this shit is.
Well, and as a result of tonight, it looks like she will not be on the Survivor Series 5-on-5 team going up against SmackDown.
Shocker.
Yeah. But so let's talk about this though. So Sami Zayn versus Rusev. What did you make of that? With Sami Zayn beating Rusev, getting the new #1 contender for the IC title.
Loved it.
Yeah. I was worried, really worried there.
I wasn't, because they gave him they gave him footage, they gave him backstage interaction with Stephanie.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're not going to waste this on him without Rusev coming in. If Rusev came in and blasted him from behind during that segment, I'm like, okay, this was to get Rusev over as a monster. This has nothing to do with giving this kid screen time with Stephanie, because in their own weird world of reality, they think anybody with screen time with Stephanie McMahon is getting the rub, brother. And it's like, no, it's the kiss of death.
Yeah. No, I really hope Sami gets the belt from Dolph at Survivor Series. Even if he doesn't, though, it'll be a great match.
It's going to be such a good match. I actually, right now, that is the match I'm going to look forward to the most as of right this minute.
Yeah.
More than Brock and Goldberg even, and I love both those guys, but I want to see that Intercontinental match.
Well, especially with Sami. I mean, he's so good every time.
Yeah.
Every time in the ring. It's like I'm never bored. He always impresses me, surprises me. There's always something there. So him and Dolph has been on a streak lately. So, I mean, you're not watching SmackDown, but I think Dolph has really been doing some good work lately. So I think that'll be a really good match.
This is like, I would throw Bobby Roode into this TNA heavyweight champion Bobby Roode era, I would say. In a 3-way. Bobby Roode versus, I've always wanted him versus Dolph. I'd pay to see that. But now I'd throw in, what's his name? Sami Zayn, and have a 3. Like, these are the 3 best, in my opinion, selling heels I've ever, like, we've seen, except for Zayn, that we've seen. Dolph is a phenomenal selling heel, even though he's a face now. But his body language, how he bumps, how he feeds, he's an amazing seller. And he's going against Sami Zayn, who's an amazing seller. It's going to be a hell of a match.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward.
Cheap plug to bring Bobby Roode up. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you know, at that point, what does NXT? I mean, really, I know I would say, what does NXT have left at that point? I mean, it's really.
We've been saying that for a year though, and they've been finding them.
Before the draft, man, I mean, they still had, and now, I mean, like I've got like I'm 3 or 4 episodes behind on NXT now.
Are
I
you?
couldn't even imagine that 6 months ago.
You know what? You're touche. You're right. I've missed a few episodes too, which I never would have. You're right. I still love it. Still my favorite
fallen
show.
out of the top 10 of the most watched stuff on the network. So it's not just us. Yeah.
Wow.
Shinsuke, I mean, look, Shinsuke is great, man, and Bobby Roode is great. But I mean, think about, everyone that you would have been tuning in to watch 6 months ago is now on Raw or SmackDown. You know?
Do you think, like, I mean, was Finn that big of a draw? I love Finn, but was he the reason?
Finn, Bailey, yeah, I mean, even
the girls, duh.
Yeah, I mean, all the women,
yeah, the 4 horsewoman, and what's his name, and Kevin KO even for when he was there, and Zayn.
Well, they've been gone for a while, but I mean, even 6 months ago, well, right after WrestleMania, Enzo and Cass left, but you had American Alpha still. I just don't think they've filled a lot of those slots yet. And the women's division, Ember Moon, I think is really good. But I mean, look, I think Liv Morgan has a lot of potential. I think she's great in the ring. But man, when they put her on the mic, that was the last episode I watched. The first time they let her cut a promo, and it was like, that's Enzo's girl, man. And I had really high expectations for what she could do. And
you guys know that's my sister, right?
Liv's your no.
I'm not supposed to be talking about.
Of course, I know that because her real name is Jonna Dadio, which is so much cooler than Liv Morgan.
Wait, what is it? Don't ever. First of all, don't ever shit on my last name.
I'm sorry. No. I'm just saying. Her real name.
Second of all,
Jonna Dadio, and people would chant at the
cool.
NXT house shows, "Let's go Dadio!" Like it just worked, right? She's a girl from Jersey. Yeah. It was a good gimmick, and they changed it to Liv Morgan, Jersey. And it's just kind of. Liv Morgan.
That's such a TNA name to give somebody. TNA would give the worst names ever. Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You said she's with Enzo, like that's his girlfriend or something? Or?
That's my understanding of it. Because he brought her in. She worked at the Hooters he managed in Hackensack. It was
He managed the Hooters?
He managed the Hooters. She worked there. And then when Enzo started coming up, he recommended her and got her a tryout. And I believe based on like Instagram, I believe they're together. That's what I've seen online that everyone says.
Sources say his sources are Instagram, folks.
Yeah. It made the rounds again because they have couples Halloween costumes.
Can we talk about how vascular my quadriceps look right now? You guys,
dude, you are looking just incredibly cut.
I wish we could show you guys this right now. Everyone that says I don't have legs, you should see how freaking ridiculously shredded my legs are right now. But
you post it on your Instagram, man. I'm sure you've got lots of followers there. I just post like lame vacation photos. Like you're posting how cut you are, man. You know?
I'm 40. I got to do it while I can, bro.
If I was in the shape you were in, I would never wear a shirt. I would just I don't care if it's the middle of winter. Topless. Yeah, but so this is with NXT. It's just they haven't filled the voids yet, and I think they will eventually. But I describe it on the SmackDown podcast. It's like those off years that SNL had. Like, it was like
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
where it was like I'm tuning in to watch Eddie Murphy, and Joe Piscopo's okay, and then there's nothing else.
Joe Piscopo's okay. Yeah.
It's like that. And Shinsuke and Joe, they're great, Samoa Joe. But,
do you think the disconnect, because Joe has a huge following. I don't believe Joe's a part of the problem. No, I think he's some remnants of why people have stuck around NXT. But like really quick, Nakamura, do you think it's because he talks the way he talks? It's not clear English. Do you think there's a disconnect?
No, I think people love him still because of that. But I'll tell you, here's what's changed though, and this is what I found is if you'd asked me a year ago, why is NXT so great? Because you could tune in each week and see wrestlers that you love, but you're not seeing the same wrestlers that you love every single week. And in after TakeOver Dallas, you were seeing Nakamura. If it wasn't Nakamura wrestling, Nakamura's going to address the crowd. Samoa Joe's wrestling. Samoa Joe's coming out and talking to the crowd, arguing with Regal. You need to. They had an embarrassment of riches.
No, you're right. Sometimes we'd go like an episode or two without seeing Charlotte. We'd see like a backstage pre-tape of her maybe. Yeah. And then like we wouldn't see her wrestle for a couple weeks.
It kept it special.
Yeah, they did.
And that's the thing. So I think they've just lost their universe. TM61 I think are great, but they're not American Alpha. The Authors of Pain. I get what they are, but but that's the thing. It's
they're just two big fat guys.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not compelling. It's just not what it was. And same thing, by the way, Dash and Dawson, who I think are fantastic heels. Yeah. But they need quality faces to play off of. And Gargano and Ciampa are good. They're probably the best. I think they're the best because outside of the ring, they can do something compelling. They can tell a storyline. And TM61, not so much, at least as far as we've seen. I've heard Sanity is good, but I haven't seen their debut yet.
You haven't seen Sanity yet?
No, that was like 3 weeks ago.
TM61.
Yeah.
Watch last week's episode of NXT when you get a chance. Like the one guy, I forget his name, which one of the two he is. He had a singles match versus what's his name? The dude who just got Roddy, Roderick Strong. And that kid from TM61 was with him every step of that match. He is good, and he actually has mark my words right here, folks. That dude, whoever his name is, has breakout single star ability. He does. Potential.
Well, I'm going to binge watch a bunch of episodes probably this weekend, so I will catch up on it. Then I look forward to it. But let's finish off Raw from tonight and just talk about this fatal 5-way that happened. So we had Rollins versus Strowman versus Jericho versus Owens versus Roman Reigns. Lots of choreographed overlapping action, like we are talking about earlier, especially at the finish. And the interesting wrinkle being that Kevin Owens won, but in such a way where Rollins knocked out Jericho and then Reigns did a Superman punch on Owens. So Owens fell on Jericho, technically winning, making it look like a pin. I mean, what did you think of the match overall and sort of how maybe this is where they're setting up more of the cracks in the
perfect
finish?
You're taking forever to get to this.
I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Recapping. It takes a minute.
Dude, I can't talk. I'm Chatty Cathy way worse than you are. So I can't talk shit to you. Real quick, that dude, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like the finish I'm talking about. Like if we were going over this and the agent said this to me, I'm like, this is gonna look like bleep at the end. There's no way it's gonna look hokey. It's gonna look Keystone Cops. It's gonna look so campy. And I watched it on slow motion. Kevin Owens is so damn talented and way more athletic than people give him credit for. I know it sounds like I'm overblowing this out of proportion, but what he did was not easy. Oh man, he just took a punch and fell on his guy. He fell on him. It didn't look like I didn't see him falling on Chris. I did not see that coming. I just saw him taking the punch and about to bump. Oh God, he just bumped on Jericho. Like that's how I saw that. And that was impressive as hell. I thought it was good. And it was another one of those bam, 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 bam. I love at the end of matches. Everyone hitting their finisher one after the other. I like when they layer them like that.
No, and that's funny you mentioned the Keystone Cops thing. I mean, I actually absolutely agree that, I mean, the way you have to choreograph that, it's like you're doing silent era comedy.
Yeah.
To do that correctly. It's like Buster Keaton. You have to get those moves precise or else it's going to look really stupid and hokey.
Yep.
If you could tell where he's like trying to look where he's going while looking like he's passing out, Yeah. So I have to, definite props for that. I like that a kendo stick made an appearance at one point.
Out of left field, but it did.
And that made me, I was going to ask you, okay, so legit of all the weapons that get thrown into these no DQ matches, which ones hurt the worst to get hit with and which ones are the best to get hit with?
Chair hurts the worst. Especially being waffled over the back or back when we were stupid and not putting our hands up, which still makes no sense. You would always do that as a reactionary measure. Just in real life, you would do that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we're stupid. Kendo stick just stings like a bee. It stings like a mother Fletcher. It does. But not more than a chair does, I don't think. Table, I don't want to make it sound like it's something easy to do, but maybe because I'm heavy, I always liked that. I always thought it kind of broke the fall for me, if anything. I remember being terrified my first time going through it. I know I was about to eat a 3D on a house show in WWE doing a dark match, and I was terrified. Like what happens if the table doesn't break? I was thinking, or is this going to kill? Being a total like wuss about it in my head. And when I went through it, I remember thinking, holy bleep, that was nothing. And I don't, so like the table being power bombed through it, different story. That doesn't feel good. Missing a leg drop through a table, I screwed up my whole L5S1 and had a zipper right up my spine because of that. Landed on the outside right through a table. The guy rolled out of the way, but I went through the table. The leg drop, that killed my spine. So, I mean, the chair. My opinion, the chair.
Gotcha. Yeah, Braun tonight, that was interesting. I mean, Rollins was hitting him pretty fast with those whacks with that kendo stick. I mean, you could hear it thumping. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, God, it must be, because you could tell that it was sort of hollow. So I was like, God, it must be like a hit with a wiffle ball bat. But I was like, no, wait, that hurts a lot getting hit with a wiffle ball bat.
Stings like it does. Stings like you get annoyed with it. It's like getting a tattoo. It's not like a tattoo, but like if you ever got a tattoo, it's like it's more annoyance than it is pain.
Gotcha. No, I've never had a tat because I'm a huge wuss, as we've established in previous podcasts. But yeah,
the theater on it.
Yes, the theater. Of which I went to a lot of when in New York. It was interesting. But so yeah, man. So all in all, as you said at the outset of the show, slightly above average Raw,
right?
I believe.
Yeah, we always give them 7.5. When I really like it, I give it a good 8.5. I gotta go 6.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I
You
thought
know,
all in all tonight, I thought it moved. They didn't the fact that the women's segment went long. I mean, again, the uniqueness of that, but I mean, there weren't any real bomb segments except for the Shining Stars and Golden Truth was probably the
oh my
lamest
god, I
thing.
can't believe that was on Monday Night Raw.
I know, and again, I don't have it in front of me, but I would love to know what they taped for Superstars and main event this week because
Yes, all hands were on deck tonight. I know, right?
yeah. I mean, probably I don't know, probably a Bo Dallas.
I was gonna say Bo Dallas and what is I'm getting old, folks. I apologize with my name blatant messing up people's names. Sound like Russo. Who's the little cruiserweight guy? Hey, bro, who's a little cruiserweight
Rich
guy?
Swann and Sin Cara.
No, that he's been there for a while. He wears a cape out.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember. Not Tony Nese.
No, he's from overseas originally. He's been up there for a while now. He's not in the cruiserweight division, but he is a cruiserweight. He does like a 450 off the top rope for his finish. Come on, he's been up on the roster now for about a year and a half now from NXT. He was an NXT champion. He was an NXT champion.
Neville. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were.
Where is he at? Is he hurt?
He came back from an injury a while ago, and they've criminally misused him since then.
That's who will be on this week.
Yeah, probably.
That's a shame.
I know. Neville's great, man. I love
watching him.
I wish they would do more with him.
Now, there's a cruiserweight who goes to the damn gym, folks. He looks like an athlete.
Yeah. God, it's so weird with the cruiser. They're doing the cruiserweight show, the 205 Live show. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking with that.
Do you think it's a give up? Like, hey, we tried them on Monday Night Raw, it didn't work, so we're gonna have our own developed show for it because we know there's an audience for it, folks. So we're just gonna give our own show for the cruiserweights, no longer on Monday Night Raw.
I think it's them admitting that they can't do it full justice on Monday Night Raw, and maybe they'll do it as maybe they'll keep it going in its current way. But Cruiserweight Classic, I guarantee you, like we're talking about NXT falling out of the top 10 ratings, I guarantee you, Cruiserweight Classic, they're looking at the numbers from that. They're already talking about doing a women's tournament next year using the same style.
And I've seen Angelina Love put out a tweet saying she'd like to throw her name in the hat, and WWE need to get all over that like flies on what.
And I think that's the thing. I think with the network, they know that they can do these very, genre, the subgenres within wrestling. They can do those shows, and there's a market for them. And they're doing good numbers. I mean, Lucha Underground, for all the hype it gets, I mean, the El Rey network is on a teensy tiny fraction of cable systems in the United States. And NXT can do, I think the last time they gave specific numbers, I think it was doing, close to, in the high hundreds of thousands per episode on the network, and they're cheap to produce.
Well, how did you know about the cruiserweight being successful? Like, how do they judge that?
Oh, just there's a ranking of I can't
most
remember
watched who did or something.
This. Yeah, most watched on the network because I think it was what's his face.
Do we trust that? Because it's coming from them?
No, we get everything. Everything is grain of salt, right? But there is a ranking. I think maybe it was Alvarez or I can't remember who was talking about that. I don't know. There was an article. I read Reddit, man. A lot of stuff gets linked on Reddit. And
wrestling is on Reddit?
Yeah, dude. Oh my God.
Really?
There's Squared Circle. The Squared Circle subreddit. Dude, you totally should go on there. You should do an Ask Me Anything on there if you ever feel like it one day. It's a great community, Squared Circle on Reddit. Okay. But what's cool, what I like about it is that when, I'm watching Raw Live or SmackDown Live or, just browsing it. One, you can watch and comment along with people when it's going on. But then in addition to that, it's just nice during the week that in addition to Wrestling Inc., I go there just to get this aggregate of if a wrestler said something interesting on Twitter, it just different things get mentioned there. So, like if Meltzer has something in an interesting episode, I know to check it out. If Jericho is a good podcast guest, I know to check it out. It's just one of those things I check in with every day,
Yeah.
Keep on top of things. But this is good, man. So next week after Raw, they're doing a State of WWE, which should be interesting. As mentioned earlier, Shane and Daniel Bryan are going to be on Raw next week, which again, it's just so soon, man. Like it's 2 months.
Yes.
And already they're just stepping all over it. So we'll see. Tomorrow night is going to be probably the least watched SmackDown of the year, or in the top 3 least watched SmackDowns of the year. I'll be curious how they counter program with that.
Because of the election?
Yeah. I mean, right outside of sports and an award show. I mean, actually on Tuesdays, no, there's not really a lot of competition on Tuesdays. So no, I think this is going to be like one of the big, and I know the week of the debates, Raw and SmackDown.
You work for the internet, one of the top internet wrestling sites. It is. Wrestling Inc. is definitely one of the tops. Let me ask you a question, if not the top. How is it? Maybe you know this. How is AJ Styles doing right now as the champion of SmackDown? Is it perceived as successful?
I don't know what the behind the scenes gossip is, but it seems like they're keeping him locked in with Dean. That's the feud that's happening. Ellsworth has been a proxy for that in being involved with it.
I don't get that at all. I mean, I do get the babyface out of nowhere crap that picks, that the universe, gets in tune with and gets behind, but we all know it's kind of just a waste. It's going to be a waste of 2 months from now. No one's going to remember this.
I don't know, the internet with memes, but you're right in the sense that it's either normally has very little shelf life or strangely it just goes on and on forever.
Zach Gowen with way more of a push than this kid did.
That's still one of the ones when I tell people about that, they really don't believe me that actually happened.
That Brock Lesnar beat up a one-legged man?
Yeah, just the fact that there was a one-legged wrestler in the WWE, I mean.
No, that John Laurinaitis hired the wrong one-legged wrestler to WWE. I swear to God. They hired the wrong one.
Who was the other one?
Did. I don't know. But it wasn't Zach. And then finally he got told the news that he got the wrong one, and he had to call Zach down. Like, oh my God, we screwed this up. But come on down. They finally gave him his contract and had him come down to OVW. That's crazy.
That's insane. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, good for him for overcoming adversity and being able to do that, and being put in that situation. But that just sounds like one of those I mean, it's like when you watch Beyond the Mat at the beginning, Vince McMahon's talking to the guy that can puke on command, and you're just like, wow, this is really sort of a shallow, effed up business, and you go like, sure, but there are limits to what Vince McMahon. I mean, he's not that much of a carny, right? That he's just full on going for, but nope, one-legged wrestler, you know, and. That's the business. They've shown mild restraint in the years since, in terms of,
bro, when they went public,
I don't know. I don't get it. But it keeps us tuning in week after week. But I from what I understand, the perception of AJ Styles as champ has been doing okay, but it's still SmackDown though, versus Raw. And I don't know if you have all the stories on Wrestling Inc., but they've been doing SmackDown shows on Mondays, like live house shows, and attendance of those, as I'm sure you can imagine, is not that great.
Well, they're going against Raw, of course. That's I mean, why? If I want my wrestling fix, I'm gonna watch Monday Night Raw. You know what I mean? Versus having to drive 3 hours because they're somewhat near me. So they're going to get the people within that town and within that city. They're not going to get the people that normally would drive 3 to 4 hours because they can just sit at home and watch Monday Night Raw. Like if they wait a few more hours.
Oh yeah, no, I think it comes on at 8 o'clock. The miscalculation of the brand split was probably the appetite for doing live, 2 competing live events simultaneously. I mean, because those NXT house shows do so well because they're small venues and they're rare. NXT only hits the same areas maybe once a year now still.
I don't believe they do well in houses though, do they? Like on an actual house show, like in the middle of bum F Florida, do they don't draw WWE? That much. NXT. Don't they draw like 300 or 400?
No. Well, but they're smart because what they'll do is they'll go into a market and they'll go into a venue that only holds maybe 1,000 people, so it's sold out. But that further increases the buzz. And the next time they come around, you're buying tickets the second they go on sale or the pre-sale because it's going to sell out.
Yeah.
It's a different strategy because remember, they don't have to split the gate with NXT wrestlers.
Gotcha.
So it's a totally different strategy. And it's probably also marketing on a huge level because it builds the brand everywhere they go. So, it's different that way. But no, I mean, look, Raw, the Raw brand has underattended house shows also. I mean, it depends on a variety of factors. I think it's just the level of markets and saturation that you can't hit that many markets doing 2 house shows multiple times per year and expect the crowds to sustain.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But anyhow, man, this is good. I know we've had some segues in this episode. That's what Raj gets for missing a week. But Raj and I will be back on Wednesday morning to talk about SmackDown Live for November 8th, 2016. And before we go, Matt, plug your Twitter and Instagram so people can check out your photos of how buff you are now.
At BP Matt Morgan, BP as in Blueprint, at BP Matt Morgan on Instagram and on Twitter. Please, what's today? Monday. On Wednesday, check out musclesportmag.com. They've done a 30-minute feature of all behind the scenes footage of me getting ready for my men's physique show that I just did 2 weeks ago and got second place in.
Oh, awesome! Congrats.
Thanks, bro. and it's really, really well done, and very, very cool. I'm very honest. I'm very blunt with everything going on in my mind, every insecurity I have walking into this competition, and me clowning a lot of people at the same time as well. It's pretty funny.
Awesome, man. Well, cool. Well, I'll see you back here next Monday to talk about Raw. And until next time, everyone, thanks for checking out the show, and we'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.